voices of arrogance in the halls of power. The Grand Council chamber was alive with sound, a chorus of 100 species, each voice dripping with the same smug certainty. Their empire stretched across thousands of systems. Their fleets patrolled every hyperspace lane. Their academies taught that history was a tool for amusement, not warning. And so, when the subject of humans arose, again, it was met with rolling laughter. One delegate, a scaled creature with amber eyes, slammed his clawed hand against the table. "Legends," he sneered, "that is all they ever were. Old stories for children. Ghost warriors who supposedly wielded fire in the void. Tell me, where are they now? Nowhere, because they never were." Another chimed in, voice thick with mockery. "Humans? Pa, every decade some explorer drags in another trace, an old beacon, a corrupted file, a symbol carved into ruins. Each time it ends the same. Myth, fiction, folklore." The chamber roared with cruel delight. Generals smirked. Scholars shook their heads. For the mighty council, the idea of humans, creatures of war and resilience, was entertainment, nothing more. "Let the primitives have their bedtime stories," one chancellor declared. "In the true order of the galaxy, humans never existed." And so the debate ended, with laughter. The signal that should not exist. It began on the edge of their dominion, in a forgotten outpost where stars flickered weakly against the dark. A routine survey ship picked up a transmission, so faint it was nearly indistinguishable from cosmic background noise. A string of numbers, a pulse, a rhythm. The crew dismissed it at first, yet the cadence gnawed at them. It was not random, it was deliberate. When the data reached the Council's Science Division, arguments flared. Some said it was a glitch, others a natural pulsar, still others a rebel trick. But a few quiet voices, archivists long mocked, paled when they saw the signal structure. "It matches," whispered one. His hands trembled as he overlaid the code with ancient, forbidden archives. The myth cipher, the same used in pre-council legends. The chamber hissed with ridicule. "Are you telling us," a warlord thundered, "that children's tales are broadcasting across deep space?" But beneath the jeers was something else, unease, because the numbers continued, every cycle stronger, every pulse clearer, until the signal formed words. Not in the languages of the Council, not in anything spoken for millennia, but in human tongue. And it said, "We are returning." Darkness at the edge of the stars. They sent fleets, of course. 30 warcruisers surged to the sector, banners blazing, weapons armed. The Council announced it as a show of strength, a display to silence superstition. "We will swat these phantoms," their admirals declared. "The galaxy will laugh again." But then the stars began to vanish. Not collapsed, not nova, not destroyed, simply swallowed. One ship reported first, "A shadow is moving across the system." Then another, "It's not natural, it's vast, we can't calculate its size." And then silence. One by one, their transmissions cut out. The proud fleet, 30 strong, went dark. In the capital, the council gathered in frantic session. "Pirates," one shouted. "Rogue black holes," claimed another, yet their eyes betrayed terror. For from the void came survivors' fragments, screams about hulls like mountains, about engines that burned with unnatural fire, about weapons that never missed. The shadow had a name, whispered like poison across their channels, human ships. When legends walked again, the revelation came not with spectacle but with silence. One dawn over the capital itself, the sky dimmed. At first citizens thought it a storm, but the clouds did not move and the light did not return. They looked up and saw it. Not one ship, not 10, but hundreds, hulking silhouettes that blotted out the heavens. Hulls scarred with battles fought beyond recorded history. Symbols etched in languages the Council had long forbidden, denounced, erased. The myths had arrived. Panic swept the city. Defense grids armed, fleets scrambled. But for every shot they fired, a human vessel absorbed or evaded it with contemptuous ease. The Council's greatest weapons, marvels of science, sputtered against technology that looked older, yet operated with terrifying superiority. Inside the chamber, the same mouths that once mocked were now mute. Some wept, some trembled, none laughed. And then the humans spoke. Their voice came not through translators, but directly, thunderous, resonant, echoing in every mind. We were forgotten, we were denied, we were mocked as legend, but we remember, and so shall you. No threat was spoken, none was needed. The sky itself was the proof. The whisper that changed the galaxy. The Council capitulated that day. They had no choice. Fleets surrendered without battle. Worlds knelt in silence. Their arrogance evaporated in the shadow of beings they had called impossible. For centuries to follow, children no longer laughed at bedtime stories. Instead, they whispered them with awe, with reverence, with fear. Scholars tore down the word myth from their archives and replaced it with warning. Across star systems, one truth spread like wildfire: the humans were real. They had always been real, and they had returned. And in the stillness of night, in every palace, every barracks, every market, the same chilling phrase echoed, shared in hushed tones, with eyes cast upward at the darkened sky. The myths are real. The Assembly of Skeptics. The grand hall of the Zorathi Council was carved into black stone and lined with banners of empires older than many stars. It was a chamber where conquests were planned, civilizations were weighed, and species were deemed either allies or slaves. Tonight, the Council gathered to discuss a matter some considered a waste of time: the old stories of Terrans. The High Speaker's voice boomed across the hall, distorted through a dozen translators. Once again, the frontier governors whisper of shadows among the trade routes. They claim to have seen ships without registries, signals that bear no signature of known codes. And still, some among you insist this is evidence of humans. Laughter rolled across the chamber. It was not the laughter of joy but of superiority, a mocking scoff at the very idea. Humans? One admiral sneered, scales glinting beneath the council lights. Children's tales, ghosts told to make recruits wary of empty space. Legends, a scholar added with disdain. Records corrupted by millennia of exaggeration. A species that supposedly burned 1,000 fleets, toppled empires with a single warship, and then vanished. Please. If they existed, they are dust in forgotten graves. Every counselor smirked, amused at the notion. The myths of humans, warriors that fought without fear, strategists who could turn defeat into victory, creatures so stubborn they clawed their way across galaxies, were little more than campfire tales for spacers. The assembly moved on. Votes were cast. Resolutions passed. And the idea of humans was buried again beneath the weight of arrogance. But outside the council chambers, beyond the ordered corridors of the empire, something moved. The first omen. It began at the edges of mapped space. Patrol fleets reported an anomaly, a ship larger than any cruiser, emerging from folds of space without a recognizable drive signature. Its hull reflected no scans, and its trajectory ignored the common lanes of travel. The fleet commander transmitted a routine query. No response. He ordered interceptors to pursue. Within minutes, the interceptors were gone, vanished from sensors, their distress calls cut short. The commander thought it was a failure in comms. Then his flagship shook. The unidentified vessel passed within sight, gliding silently against the void. No engines flared, no weapons fired, yet the patrol fleet lost all power. Screens died, weapons froze, even the emergency backups failed. The last image captured was a silhouette, angular, armored, impossibly ancient. That footage was brought before the council. The speaker frowned as the hologram played, the vast shape filling the chamber. A ghost ship, perhaps a remnant of an extinct species, not humans. Still, unease stirred at the edges of the chamber. Whispers spread in private quarters, in academies, among the fleet. The old stories spoke of human ships that could silence the stars themselves. The council dismissed the worry, of course.